You've been lied to your entire life. They told you hard work is the secret to success, but if that were true, every construction worker, every janitor, every factory laborer would be a millionaire by now. So why aren't they? Because the people who told you to work hard never followed their own advice. They played a different game, one Machiavelli warned us about centuries ago. And if you don't learn it, you'll die working hard for someone else's dream. They tell you to work hard, show up early, stay late, and eventually, success will find you. That's the story we've been sold since childhood, one that's repeated in schools, households, and workplaces. It's a noble story. It makes you feel like you're in control, like effort alone determines the outcome. But here's the uncomfortable truth. That story isn't just incomplete, it's a lie, deliberately crafted and pushed by those in power to keep the masses obedient. Because when you believe that working harder will eventually make you rich, you stop questioning the system. You stop asking why those who already have power never seem to work as hard as you do. Machiavelli, centuries ago, understood the power of illusions. He knew that the most effective form of control wasn't brute force, it was belief. Give people a narrative that keeps them moving, keeps them hoping, and they'll police themselves. The myth of hard work functions exactly that way. It's the leash around the neck of millions, keeping them loyal to a rigged game. Think about it. Who benefits most from this belief? Corporations and elites, the ones who depend on labor to build their empires. They need you to clock in, put your head down and stay in line. And what better way to ensure that than to convince you your loyalty and hustle will one day make you one of them? It's a brilliant tactic. By glorifying hard work, they keep the engine running while reserving the wealth and decision-making for themselves. They don't want thinkers, they want workers. They don't want rebels, they want believers. You've probably seen people around you, be even in your own life, who work multiple jobs, juggle responsibilities, and give everything they have just to stay afloat. These are people with discipline, integrity, and grit. They should be thriving, right, but they're not. Because hard work without access to leverage, ownership, or opportunity rarely leads to anything more than survival. The truth is, the system wasn't built to reward effort. It was built to reward power, and yet we keep celebrating the grind. Social media glorifies hustle culture like it's some badge of honor. Sleep 4 hours a night, drink black coffee, build from the ground up. But what's missing from that highlight reel is how wealth actually accumulates. It's not through physical effort, it's through strategic positioning. It's through knowing the right people, being in the right rooms, making the right moves. The people who get ahead aren't always the hardest workers, they're the smartest players. Machiavelli understood this. He warned that those in power will always find ways to manipulate the beliefs of the people to maintain control. If the people are allowed to believe that all they need is effort, then they'll never look behind the curtain. They'll never realize the ones at the top didn't get there by grinding the hardest. They got there by understanding the system and bending it in their favor. They used knowledge, manipulation, timing, and influence, none of which require backbreaking labor, but all of which require awareness and strategy. That's not to say hard work is useless, but let's not confuse movement with progress. You can run on a treadmill all day and still end up in the same place. The goal isn't just to work, it's to understand where you're working, why you're working, and for whom. The moment you begin asking those questions is the moment you begin to wake up. And once you're awake, you start seeing how deeply rooted this myth really is, how it's embedded in every motivational quote, every corporate slogan, every story of the so-called self-made billionaire who just worked harder than everyone else. The lie isn't just that hard work will make you rich. The real lie is that hard work alone is enough. It isn't. It never was. Because without ownership, without leverage, without strategy, you're just building someone else's dream while thinking it's your own. And that's exactly how they want it. So before you double down on the hustle, before you romanticize the grind, ask yourself, who told me this? And more importantly, who benefits if I believe it? Because once you see the game, you can stop being a pawn in someone else's plan and start playing one of your own. That's the first step to freedom. If hard work was all it took to become wealthy, then every construction worker, every cleaner, every delivery driver, every factory hand, people who sweat day in and day out, would be living in mansions, but they're not, and you know it. Deep down, we all know it. We've seen the evidence with our own eyes. The richest people in the world don't necessarily work harder than anyone else. They just move differently. They think differently. They play a different game entirely. And that's the part no one tells you. Machiavelli didn't write about hustle. He wrote about cunning. He wrote about strategy, about understanding human nature and using it to position yourself in a place of power. And if you look around at the people who have accumulated real wealth, not just a nice salary or a fancy job title, but actual wealth, you'll notice a pattern. They didn't get there by grinding harder than everyone else. They got there by thinking in terms of influence, systems, and leverage. They knew that effort alone has limits, but strategy, that's scalable. We've been conditioned to equate movement with momentum, that if we're always busy, always tired, always on the grind, we must be getting somewhere. But motion without direction is just noise. It feels productive, but it's often a distraction from what actually moves the needle. Real wealth comes from positioning yourself where opportunity flows, not from wearing yourself down trying to create it from scratch. Look at entrepreneurs who built empires. Look at investors, creators, politicians. Their success wasn't born from exhaustion. It was born from insight. They understood timing. They understood systems. They created something once and got paid over and over. That's the mindset that separates the wealthy from the workers. They aren't trading time for money. They're multiplying it. This is why you'll see someone who works 14 hours a day for years and still struggles to make ends meet, while another person launches a scalable idea and creates financial freedom in half the time. That's not because one person worked harder. It's because one of them worked strategically, the other believed the myth. The truth is, effort is only valuable when it's applied in the right direction. You can push a boulder uphill all you want, but if you're on the wrong hill, you're just exhausting yourself. Strategic action, knowing where to apply pressure, when to pivot, who to align with, that's what creates long-term wealth. And this is exactly what Machiavelli meant when he talked about the importance of appearing virtuous while operating with cold precision behind the scenes. You have to know the game, or you'll be played by it. Most people don't even realize they're in a game. They think they're being noble by working hard, being loyal, staying committed to a company or a system that will one day reward them. But the system wasn't built to make you rich. It was built to keep you functioning just well enough to not question it. And when you do begin to question it, when you start noticing that those at the top don't seem to follow the same rules, they'll call you lazy or entitled for wanting a smarter way. But they know exactly what they're doing. They just don't want you to do it too. So many of us were raised to believe that wealth is a moral reward, that if you work hard and play fair, you'll be blessed with success. But wealth isn't distributed according to morality. It's distributed according to strategy, according to risk, according to power dynamics. If you want to change your outcome, you have to change your approach. You have to stop thinking like a laborer and start thinking like a strategist. That means stepping back and asking different questions. Not how can I work more, but what problem can I solve that pays me again and again? Not how can I earn a raise, but how can I own a piece of the value I create? Not how can I be more productive, but is this even the right path to begin with? These are the kinds of questions that lead to wealth, not blind effort. It's not about avoiding work. It's about elevating the quality of your work. The rich don't avoid effort. They just make sure their effort has exponential returns. They build systems, invest in assets, and protect their time like it's gold, because it is. Time spent thinking strategically is infinitely more valuable than time spent running in circles. So yes, hard work may get your foot in the door. It might earn you respect, but it won't build real wealth unless it's tied to a bigger, smarter plan. That's the piece most people miss. That's what keeps the masses grinding and the powerful thriving. And until you see the difference, you'll always mistake movement for progress. Stop chasing sweat. Start chasing strategy. Take a look around you. Look at the people who work the hardest. Not the ones in suits sitting in corner offices, but the ones who open shops at dawn, who pull double shifts, who never take a vacation because they can't afford to. These are the people society calls hardworking, and rightly so. They pour everything they have into what they do. But here's the catch. They're also the ones who are most often stuck. They're not climbing some invisible ladder to wealth. They're trapped in a cycle that barely lets them breathe. And it's not because they lack ambition or intelligence. It's because the system is built to keep them exactly where they are. We don't like to say that out loud. It's more comforting to believe everyone gets a fair shot, that the harder you work, the further you go. But let's be real for a second. That's not how this world operates. For the majority of working class people, hard work isn't a bridge to freedom. It's a treadmill. No matter how fast you run, you're still in the same place. Rent goes up, wages stay flat, and the dream of financial independence drifts further away, even though you're giving more of yourself than ever before. This isn't an accident. It's not bad luck. It's by design. The system needs workers. It needs people to fill the bottom so that those at the top can stay comfortable. And the best way to make sure those people never rise is to sell them the idea that they will eventually, if they just keep pushing. That kind of hope is a tool. It keeps people compliant. It stops them from asking the harder questions, from realizing that the game is rigged before they even step onto the field. Machiavelli understood power. He knew that control doesn't always come through fear or violence. It often comes through illusion. The illusion that you have agency. The illusion that hard work will be rewarded. And that illusion is strongest among the working class because it's all they've ever known. They don't have access to capital, to influence, to networks. All they have is their time and energy. And so they trade it day after day, hoping it will pay off in the long run. But the long run never comes. What's worse is how society praises this grind. You hear it all the time. No one wants to work anymore. As if working yourself to the bone for barely enough to survive is something to be proud of. We glorify struggle as if poverty is a rite of passage and burnout is a badge of honor. But struggle isn't noble, it's exploitative. And the more you buy into the lie, the deeper the trap becomes. You end up measuring your worth by how tired you are, how busy you are, how many hours you've sacrificed. But exhaustion isn't wealth. Being constantly drained isn't a sign of progress. If anything, It's a red flag, a signal that you're running someone else's race, playing someone else's game. And no matter how fast you go, you're not the one who gets to cross the finish line with the prize. This cycle is self-sustaining because it comes with just enough to keep you going, just enough to pay the bills, just enough to maybe take one weekend off every few months, just enough to feel like if you keep pushing, maybe next year things will be different. And that's the bait. That's what keeps people locked in. They're always chasing something that's always out of reach. And let's not pretend this is about laziness or lack of ambition. The working class is full of smart, creative, driven people. But they're operating in a system that doesn't reward those traits unless they come packaged with power, leverage, or capital. You can be the most brilliant person in the world, but if you're stuck in a structure designed to limit your options, your potential will be throttled. That's why this message matters, because you can't escape a trap you don't realize you're in. You can't break the cycle until you stop believing that hard work alone is your ticket out. It might give you discipline, it might build your character, but it won't buy you freedom if you never get off the treadmill. Real wealth, real mobility comes when you shift your mindset, when you stop trading time for money and start building systems, learning how money moves, understanding how influence works. That's not something they teach you in school. It's not something your job will reward you for, but it's the truth. And until you see that truth, you'll keep grinding in a system designed to wear you down while making someone else rich. You were never meant to just survive. You've probably heard the stories how the wealthy are self-made, how they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, how they just worked a little harder, a little smarter, and made it big. It sounds inspiring, it sounds fair. But here's what they don't tell you. Behind every so-called self-made millionaire is a network, a shortcut, a key that opened doors most people don't even know exist. The ladder they climbed didn't start at the bottom. It started halfway up. And the rest of us, we're told to keep climbing from the ground, one exhausting rung at a time, believing that if we just work long enough, hard enough, we'll get there too. But the truth is, the gap between effort and outcome isn't just wide, it's engineered. The wealthy don't play by the same rules. They don't rely on labor, they rely on leverage. They know how to multiply their time, how to shift risk, how to turn access into opportunity. While most people are stuck trading hours for dollars, they're building empires off ownership, influence, and information. That's not luck. That's design, and pretending everyone has the same path is not just dishonest, it's cruel. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a billionaire who built their fortune through sheer hard labor? You haven't, because that's not how it works. They build systems, they invest in ideas, they move money, not muscle. They use the time and effort of others to expand their reach, and the system rewards them for it. Meanwhile, the people doing the actual work, the ones running the machines, cleaning the floors, delivering the packages, are told to just keep hustling. It's a brilliant con. It keeps the machine running, keeps the rich at the top, and keeps everyone else too busy or too tired to question it. Machiavelli warned us, appearances matter more than reality. It's not about being virtuous. It's about looking virtuous while you secure power. The myth of the self-made millionaire serves that exact purpose. It makes the rich look relatable. It makes them look like you. If they made it, you can too, right? But that narrative hides the real advantage. They had access, protection, connections, and capital. Those aren't things you earn by working hard. Those are things you're born into, married into, introduced into. They're privileges disguised as merit. And because we buy into that myth, we start to blame ourselves when we struggle. We wonder, why our hard work isn't paying off, why the grind seems endless, why the dream feels further away each year. But it's not your fault. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're playing a game that was never meant to be fair. And the more you internalize that lie, the harder it becomes to see what's really happening. We end up chasing the success story instead of dissecting it. We follow gurus and influencers who show off wealth without showing the mechanisms behind it. They talk about mindset and morning routines, but not about the trust funds, the insider deals, the low-interest capital, or the inherited real estate that gave them their start. And why would they? The myth is more profitable than the truth. It sells books, courses, and dreams. It keeps people inspired, but also blind. Here's the part no one likes to admit. The road to real wealth isn't paved with fairness. It's paved with positioning. You get ahead not just by working hard, but by working the system, or by building your own. And to do that, you need to start seeing through the illusion. You need to stop believing that the playing field is level, because it's not. The sooner you realize that, the sooner you can stop wasting energy trying to earn your turn, and start focusing on creating leverage for yourself. That might mean learning skills that scale. It might mean collaborating with people who expand your reach. It might mean investing in something that earns while you sleep, instead of something that drains you while you work. Whatever it is, it starts with rejecting the fantasy that the rich are just like you, but more disciplined. They're not. They're operating with a completely different playbook, and that's why this conversation matters. Because the longer you cling to the lie, the longer you stay stuck. You keep thinking your moment is coming, that your hard work will finally pay off. But wealth doesn't reward effort. It rewards awareness. It rewards those who see the matrix, not those who struggle inside it. The people at the top know the truth, they just hope you never find it. There's something deeply comforting about the idea that playing fair will eventually get you ahead. We're raised on stories that tell us if we just do the right thing, follow the rules, keep our heads down, and put in the work, then life will reward us. We're taught to believe that merit is the currency of success, and that morality is part of the equation. But the harsh truth is, the people who rise to power, real power, rarely play by the rules that govern everyone else. In fact, more often than not, they win precisely because they're willing to bend, break, and rewrite the rules to suit their advantage. You don't have to look very far to see this in action. Corrupt politicians still hold office. Billionaires dodge taxes with a smile and a legal team. Corporate executives who destroy livelihoods walk away with bonuses and golden parachutes. These aren't exceptions to the rule. They are the rule. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. And those who play within its limits, those who insist on keeping things honorable, often find themselves out, maneuvered by those who understood that the game is not about being good, it's about being effective. Machiavelli never said to be cruel without reason. He said to be strategic. He understood that power rewards those who are calculated, not just kind. Yet somehow, we've convinced entire generations that goodness alone is enough, that being a loyal worker, a rule-abiding citizen, a silent participant in your own exploitation, will eventually be recognized and rewarded. But recognition without leverage is empty. Respect without results is hollow. And good intentions without impact are often ignored. Now, this isn't a call to become ruthless. This isn't an invitation to lose your soul in pursuit of success. But it is a reality check. Because if you want to win in a system that values leverage more than labor, you need to stop assuming that integrity alone is your ticket. You need to understand the battlefield you're on. And more importantly, you need to understand that while you're busy playing fair, someone else is already playing smart. Look at the way deals are made, opportunities are handed out, and influence is gained. It's rarely through hard work alone. It's through relationships, strategy, timing, and sometimes deception. It's knowing when to say less, when to say no, and when to take what you've earned before someone else grabs it. The idea that everything is earned through clean, linear effort is not just naive, it's dangerous, because it blinds you to the ways power really operates, and it keeps you stuck in roles that don't serve you, hoping that virtue will somehow lift you up. The people at the top understand optics. They know how to wear the mask of virtue while making cutthroat decisions behind the scenes. And we reward them for it because we want to believe the lie. We want to believe that success is a reflection of character. But if you've ever seen someone get promoted not because they were the best, but because they were connected or manipulative, you already know that's not true. The real winners in this world aren't always the ones with the cleanest hands. They're the ones who understand timing, power, silence, and influence. They know how to read the room, how to shift the narrative, how to use perception as a weapon. And when you're still operating under the belief that honesty, humility, and compliance will get you noticed, you're playing a game that no longer exists. There's nothing wrong with being decent. In fact, in a world full of manipulation, decency is rare and powerful in its own right. But decency without awareness becomes a liability. You need both. You need the ability to stay grounded in your values while also being sharp enough to navigate systems that don't play fair. That's not hypocrisy. That's survival. That's strategy. And here's the part that hurts the most. Sometimes the very people you think are struggling because they lack talent or drive are actually the ones playing the cleanest game. And the people you admire for their success, they may have taken every shortcut, every backdoor, every opportunity you never even saw. Not because they were smarter, but because they stopped believing in a version of the world that doesn't exist. If you keep waiting for fairness to save you, you'll wait forever. The world doesn't hand out rewards for moral effort. It hands out rewards for results. It respects leverage, not loyalty. It listens to influence, not intention. And until you understand that, until you stop pretending the game is something it's not, you'll keep losing to people who mastered the art of playing it better. No one's coming to reward you for being the quiet, honest worker.